Okay, once again, you're welcome. You're welcome to Misiki Academia. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe. And of course, if you find this video interesting, also like and share. If you have any question whatsoever, do well to type your questions in the comment box below. Alright, so in this video, we'll be looking at basic instrumentation, SLT 104.2 for SLT students. We'll be looking at a couple of revision questions in preparation for exams and of course other aspects of basic instrumentation and having a broader knowledge of the core aspects of basic instrumentation. So we have a couple of questions here that we'll be providing answers to. Okay, so I'll be providing answers to questions here, and as a matter of fact, we'll be looking at these questions, and also I'll also provide explanations to them. All right, so the first question here is the process of converting AC to DC is called rectification. So the answer to number one is rectification. The resistance of a photoresistor decreases with increase in light intensity. So there is an increase in light intensity which leads to resistance of a photoresistor. All right. Then a resistor that cannot be adjusted is called a fixed resistor. So that is a fixed resistor. All right. Then the circuit board where soldering can be done is called a vero board. Vero is spelled VERO. Okay, vero board. Now, a diode allows current to flow in one direction only. So that's one direction only. Now, the collector base and emitter are terminals of a transistor. A transistor. Now, the next question is the dielectric of a capacitor is always an insulator. All right, so that's supposed to be an. Okay, it's always an insulator. Okay, so it doesn't conduct electricity. That's the dielectric aspect of a capacitor. Number eight, a breadboard is a dashboard. A breadboard is a solderless board. All right, a board that cannot be soldered. That's what we mean by solderless. Okay. The next question, in a series circuit, the total inductance is the dash of all inductors. The total inductance is the sum of all inductors. So if you want to look for the total inductance for inductors, you just add all the inductances of the different inductors connected in that circuit. Number 10, the longer lead of an LED. LED is called light emitting diode. All right. So what's the longer lead of an LED called? Okay, so it is called an anode. All right, it's called an anode. Okay, so number 11, the flat notch of an LED indicates the cathode terminal. So that's called cathode terminal. Number 12, a step up transformer dash voltage level. So a step up transformer increases voltage level. The next question, a photodiode converts dash into electrical energy. So a photodiode converts light energy into electrical energy. That's the function of a photodiode. Now, the next one, a light dependent resistor, which is denoted as LDR, is also called a photoresistor. So another name for a light dependent resistor, okay, LDR, is photoresistor. All right. So the next question, the next question here is, of course, the potentiometer is a type of dash resistor. It's a type of variable resistor. So with a potentiometer, it can be able to vary resistance. That's why it's called a variable resistor. All right. The next question: the terminals of a diode are, of course, anode and cathode. The two terminals of a diode are the anode and the cathode. The next question: a Zener diode can conduct in dash bias mode, in reverse bias mode. So that's the bias mode that a Zener diode conducts. All right. So the next question: the ability of a capacitor to store charges is called capacitance. So capacitance is the ability of a capacitor to store charges. The next question, the two windings of a transformer are called dash and dash. They are called primary and secondary. Those are the names given to the two windings of a transformer. The next question, number 20, LEDs emit dash when current flows through them. So LEDs emit light. That's why they are called light emitting diodes. So the answer is light. All right. So the next question, there is resistance is measured in ohms. The answer is ohms. OH MS, OHMS. All right. Now, a printed wiring board is also called a PCB. Okay, a printed. Okay, that's number 22. A printed wiring board is also called a PCB. PCB is printed circuit board. That's the full meaning of PCB. All right. Then the next question, an LED must be connected in dash bias to glow. An LED must be connected in forward bias to what? Glow. Remember what we talked about a Zener diode, the kind of bias, all right? But now we are looking at an LED, okay? So LED must connect LED in forward bias before it will glow, before it will emit light. All right, the next question, a diode used to convert AC to DC, that's number 24. A diode used to connect AC to DC is called a rectifier diode. Remember, rectification is the process of converting AC to DC. So that diode that can convert AC to DC is called a rectifier diode. Then the next one, inductance is measured in Henry, capital letter H. That's the unit for inductance. The next one, unit of capacitance is farad, Farad, capital letter F. The next one, an inductor stores energy in its magnetic field. All right, so an inductor stores energy in its magnetic field. The next question, a circuit board that is solderless. We've talked about it before. A circuit board that is solderless is called a breadboard. All right. A circuit board that is solderless is called a breadboard. All right. So then number 29, which type of diode is used for voltage regulation? Okay, the type of diode used for voltage regulation is called Zener. Zener diode. Zener is spelled Zener. Okay, number 30, a fixed resistor has dash resistance value. All right, so a fixed resistor has a constant resistance value. A constant resistance value, as the name fixed implies, it has a constant resistance value. All right, so then the next question here, the primary winding of a transformer is connected to dash the primary winding. We've talked about winding before, remember. So what is it called? What is it connected to? It's connected to a source. All right, it's connected to the source, or the source is also called output. It's also called the output. All right. Then the next question: the resistor dissipates electrical energy in the form of heat. All right. So the resistor dissipates electrical, that is, gives out electrical energy in the form of heat. All right. Then the next question is, which diode emits light in forward bias mode? All right. So the diode that emits light, we've talked about it before, is called LED, light emitting diode. The next one, the ability of a resistor to oppose current is known as resistance. So resistance is when a resistor opposes current. In fact, that's the major function of a resistor, as a matter of fact. All right. So then the next question is the terminals of a BJT. BJT is called bipolar junction transistor. All right. So the terminals of a BJT are called dash dash and dash. So they are called base, the collector, and the emitter. In fact, those are the major parts of the transistor. Remember, a transistor is a three-terminal device. All right. So that's what a transistor is. Okay, then the next one is a photoresistor is a dash component. A photoresistor is a passive component because it doesn't require the form of electrical energy or form of any external form of energy for it to function. So that's, remember, we have active and passive components. So it is a passive component. Number 37, in a DC is called direct current. In a DC circuit, the ideal capacitor acts as an dash circuit. So it acts as an open circuit. The next one, the circuit symbol of a fixed resistor, okay, looks like a dash. So the circuit symbol of a fixed resistor looks like a rectangle. All right, so it looks like a rectangle. Now, when a diode is forward biased, the next one, when a diode is forward biased, it is turned dash. Okay, it is turned on. All right. In a parallel inductor connection, the equivalent inductance is always dash than the smaller inductor. Alright, so we are being asked that the parallel inductor connect the equivalent inductance rather in a parallel inductor connection is always dash than the smallest. Alright, so basically the answer is smaller. So the equivalent inductance is always smaller than the smallest inductor. Alright, so the next one is another diode is commonly used for, we've talked about it before, it's commonly used for voltage regulation or voltage stabilization. Alright, then the next one, a photodiode is biased in dash bias mode. Alright, so it is biased in reverse bias mode. The next question is the input winding of a transistor is called the dash. So the input winding, remember we talked about two forms of winding. So now the input winding of a transformer rather is called a dash. So it is called the primary winding. Alright, so it's called the primary winding. Now, the energy stored in an inductor is proportional to the dash of the current, is proportional to the square of the current. All right, so the energy stored in that is E is directly proportional to I squared, I raised to power 2. Now, number 45, the opposition of a capacitor to or to a change in voltage is called dash. So, the opposition of it, when a capacitor opposes changes in voltage, what is that phenomenon called? Okay, it is definitely called capacitance. It's definitely called capacitance. Aside the fact that capacitance is the ability of the capacitor to store charges, it is also the opposition of the capacitor to change in voltage. Alright, the next one, in full bridge rectification, a bridge rectifier uses dash diodes. So a bridge rectifier uses four diodes. A step down transformer dash voltage. A step down transformer decreases voltage. The opposition of a resistor to current flow is called resistance. So the opposition is called resistance. We've seen a question similar to this before, but not exactly put in this form. The energy stored in a capacitor is stored in its dash. So it is stored in its electric field. Alright, stored in its electric field. Remember that for inductor, it is stored in its magnetic field. Now the next question, number 50, the output winding of a transformer is called secondary. Remember, input is called primary, so the output is called secondary. All right. So now the next question, number 51, an LED is a special type of diode. All right. So it's a special type of diode. Number 52, in forward bias, current flows through a diode dash. Okay, so in forward bias, current flows through a diode forward direction. All right, if it's reverse current flows through a diode reverse direction. All right, so forward bias is forward direction, and reverse bias is reverse direction. Now, a photodiode is also called a dash detector. So it's also called a photo detector. Number 54, in reverse bias, a diode is turned off. The answer is off. This semiconductor device can act as a switch or an amplifier. The answer is transistor. In fact, those are the two major functions of a transistor, to act as a switch and also as an amplifier. The two types of resistors are dash and dash. So the two types of resistors are fixed and variable resistor. The next one, a variable board is also called the dashboard. So a variable board is also called the strip board, STRIP, strip board. Okay. The next one, in a DC circuit, the capacitor behaves like an open circuit. All right. So a capacitor behaves like an open circuit in a DC circuit. The next one, the terminals of a diode are called dash and dash. Terminals of a diode are called anode and cathode. Number 60, a potentiometer is used to control dash circuits. It's used to control it's used to control resistance in circuits. All right. The most common use of Zener diode is, we have seen questions like this, voltage regulation. Remember, I also told you there is voltage stabilization. Now, the two basic types of transistors are called BJT and FET. BJT is called bipolar junction transistor. FET is called field emission transistor. Field emission transistor. Number 63 says LEDs come in different colors. All right, LEDs comes in different. So light emitting diodes comes in different colors. Now, number 64, the dielectric of a capacitor may be air, ceramic, paper, or mica. MICA is another type of material that the dielectric of a capacitor can exist as. Now the next question is, okay, the value of a fixed resistor can be determined by dash code. A fixed resistor can actually have its value to be determined by what we call color code. So it's color code that we use in determining the value of a fixed resistor. That is, I'm talking about the resistance of a fixed resistor. All right. So the next question, the next question is the symbol of an LED is a diode with dash pointing outward. All right. So the symbol of an LED is a diode with arrows pointing outward. So the answer there is arrows. Now in a transformer, okay, in a transformer, A turns ratio greater than 1 indicates a dash transformer. Okay, so basically, a turns a turns ratio is a turns ratio. Okay, because transformers need turns, all right, because there are coils in it. So coils have turns. So a turns ratio greater than 1 indicates what kind of transformer. So it indicates a step up transformer. So when the turns in the transformer have a ratio that is greater than 1, that kind of transformer is called a step up transformer. Number 68. Number 68, when the voltage across a capacitor is constant, the current the current is dash. So the current is zero. All right, don't forget that. So the current is zero whenever there is a constant voltage across a capacitor. Number 69, a diode is a two-terminal device with one dash junction. So with one PN junction. PN junction. All right, PN junction is, of course, just one in a diode. All right. Now, the energy in an inductor is stored in its the answer is magnetic field. All right, stored in its magnetic field. Number 71, a transistor has how many terminals? Okay, a transistor has three terminals. I've said it before. The base, the emitter, and the collector. Now, the secondary winding of a transformer is connected to the dash. It's connected to the load. It's connected to the load. Now, a rectifier diode is used in dash. A rectifier diode is used in rectification. A resistor is a dash component. A resistor is a passive component. Which electronic component is unidirectional? Which electronic component is unidirectional? That is, do not have a direction. Okay, so that is called okay, sorry, unidirectional. Sorry, unidirectional. That is one direction. Okay, one direction. So that is a diode. Remember, we say that a diode is an electronic component that allows current to flow in one direction only. Now, the next one, number 76, a resistor's ability to remit current is measured in dash. So a resistor's ability is measured in ohms. That's the unit for resistance. Now, the next one, a photodiode is mainly used for dash detection. We said it before, okay, but basically it's used for light detection through photo. Number 78, the capacitance of capacitor is measured in farad. Don't forget that. The fixed resistor cannot change. 79 cannot change. By 80, the two types of rectification are half wave and full wave rectification. So they are called half wave and full wave rectification. All right. So number 81 says which diode glows when current passes through it. We've emphasized on it. It is LED light emitting diode. Number 82, a transformer with a turns ratio less than 1. Remember, we talked about greater than 1 before. When it is less than 1, it is called a step down transformer. Number 83, an LDR changes resistance with what? An LDR changes resistance with light intensity. Okay. Number 84, inductors in series have total inductance equal to the dash of each. So it has total inductance that is equal to the sum of each. All right, to the sum of each. Now the short leg of an LED is the cathode. All right, the cathode. Now resistance is measured using an ohmmeter. OHMMETAR is measured using an ohmmeter. Now the next one, a capacitor consists of two plates separated by the dielectric. So dielectric is what is used in separating the two plates of a capacitor. So the next one, a printed circuit board is also called a PCB. Okay, we've talked about PCB before. So number 89, the current through an ideal inductor lags the voltage. Lags is more like destabilizes the voltage by dash degrees, so by 90 degrees. Rectification converts dash to dash. We talked about it, AC to DC. The photoresistor is sensitive to light. is sensitive to light. A diode is made up of a PN junction. A resistor converts energy excess energy into heat. So when excess energy is found in a circuit and a resistor is there, it will convert it into heat. Now the base, collector and emitter are terminals of a transistor. Okay, then the process of voltage stabilization is mainly done by Zener diode. The property of an inductor that opposes current change is called inductance. The transformer works on the principle of dash induction. It works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. Now in reverse bias, a diode does not conduct. So a diode does not conduct any form of electricity, does not allow any form of current when it is in its reverse bias stage or reverse bias form. Now which diode can work in reverse bias mode? Okay, so that diode is known as a Zener diode, but it is not there to allow current to flow in one direction, it's just there to regulate the voltage. Now the unit of resistance, we talked about it before, it is of course ohms, OHMS. Now the next question here is the property of a capacitor that opposes change in voltage is called dash. Alright, so it is called capacitance. LEDs have a dash notch to indicate cathode. They have a flat notch. Okay, then the next one, the three main circuit boards are breadboard, veroboard, and PCB. Now, a photoresistor is also called a dash resistor. It's also called a light dependent resistor. 105 says in half-wave rectification, dash diode is used. In half-wave rectification, only one diode is used. One diode is used. The terminals of a transistor, we said this severally, the base, the emitter, and the collector. Now, the ability of an inductor to store energy is called inductance. All right. If you look at it very well, you realize that most of these questions are even being repeated because these are questions that are and frequently asked questions. Now, resistance is the opposition to current flow. The dielectric, the next one, 110, the dielectric of a capacitor, okay, is an insulator. We've talked about the light sensor is called a photodetector. All right, a printed circuit board connects components using dash pathways. It uses conductive pathways. Now, a trimmer is an example of a dash resistor. A trimmer is an example of a variable resistor. All right. A unidirectional semiconductor component, we've talked about that before, is a diode because it allows current to flow in one direction only. All right. Now a resistor with adjustable value is a dash, is a variable resistor. Adjustable value is a variable resistor. Now a capacitor stores charge on its dash. It stores charge on its plates. A step-up transformer increases voltage. A rectifier converts AC to DC. A bipolar junction transistor, which I called BJT the other time, has that junction, so it has two junctions. That's why it's called bipolar. Bi is Bi is two. Alright. Bi has to do with two, more like two poles. Alright. Now an LED is a special diode that emits dash. An LED is a special diode that emits light. Inductors are measured in the unit Henry. We've talked about that before. Okay. The next question, a resistor limits dash in a circuit. So the resistor limits current in a circuit. Alright. A capacitor resists abrupt change in voltage. A photodiode is also called a photosensor. The unit of capacitance, of course, is what we know as farad, capital letter F. In series, inductors add directly. The transformer has how many windings? Two windings. We talked about that, primary and secondary. A diode used for light detection is called a photodiode. All right. Okay. Now, in forward bias, a diode is turned on. The photoresistor is passive or active is passive. The PNP and NPN, PNP is called PNP. PNP are, of course, types of areas in a junction. All right, we have the PN junction. So PNP is more like N sandwiched in between two P's, and NPN is P sandwiched in between two N's. So 131 says the PNP and NPN are types of course, a transistor. It's in a transistor that you see the PNP and NPN. in a diode you only see one pn. All right, don't forget that. Now in parallel, inductors add reciprocal sum, that is 1 over, just like of course the parallel form of resistors. Okay, that's how parallel form of inductors add as well. Now which diode is used for the voltage stabilizer? We've talked about is Zener diode. A resistor's resistance value is identified by what color code. Don't forget that the anode is the dash terminal of the diode. Okay, so the anode is the positive terminal of the diode. Okay, the cathode is the negative terminal. Which board is called the solderless board? We talked about that before. It's a breadboard. A photodiode operates in dash bias mode. So a photodiode operates in reverse bias mode. All right, so we are gradually getting to the last question, which is 150th question. But this we are at 140 now. The resistor dissipates energy as heat. Okay, we've seen questions like that before. LEDs can emit different colors. You've seen that. The dielectric between capacitor plates is called insulator. All right, a diode conducts only when it is forward biased. A transistor is a three terminal what? It's a three terminal semiconductor component. All right, don't forget that a transistor is a three terminal semiconductor component. All right, then of course we also have a diode bridge rectifier uses dash diode, so it uses four diodes. All right, an inductor resists change in current. Okay, a capacitor's ability to store charge is called capacitance. The turns ratio